It's such a joy to share this satsang together this morning on such an important topic as the Guru on the weekend of Guru Purnima. And as we were asking the question, do you need a guru? I guess it depends on how high you're setting your goals. If you're setting your goals just to make a lot of money, or maybe to have a big family, or other human goals, good as they may be, you may not need a guru. However, if you have high, lofty spiritual goals, such as self-realization or enlightenment, then yes, the great masters have all said that you would need a true guru, a sat guru, whose consciousness is one with God, to be able to guide you to that same position where he is one with God. And our divine line of gurus have told us in the Autobiography and in various different places that that they come again and again when they are needed. Swami writes, I have come to feel, after years of editing Master's writings, that our entire line of gurus have come back again and again for countless eons, and perhaps from the beginning of history, as saviors of mankind. And he says there's no doubt other lines of great masters who have also come in compassion for the suffering of mankind. So it is interesting to contemplate. Even Yogananda said, I will come back 1 trillion times if need be, if one stray brother is left behind. So I think that we are very fortunate to be in the guidance and protection of this, these wonderful, great gurus, great masters. So we know the story of when Swami read the Autobiography of a Yogi, how he knew right away, this is mine. This is my guru. I'm going to go. He took the next bus across America and found Master Yogananda ji in Los Angeles and asked to be his disciple. He knew right away. And Master said, do you give me your unconditional obedience? And Swami said, well, what if I think sometime you're wrong? And Master said, I will never ask anything of you that Divine Mother or that God has not asked me to ask you. And Swami said, in that case, yes, I give you my unconditional obedience. And so therefore, Yogananda ji could start guiding Swami Kriyananda's life. And very similar situation when Sri Yukteswar and Master met for the first time. And Sri Yukteswar asked Master also if he would, and actually Master said, Swami Sri Yukteswar asked Yogananda ji, will you give me your unconditional obedience? And Yogananda said, yes, I will. And he said, good, now I can take responsibility for your life. And Yogananda said, I gladly offer that to you. So I think in these two examples, we can see how we also, as spiritual aspirants who are trying to follow in their footsteps, we can say yes to unconditional obedience to what the Guru asks us to do. And we might be able to feel that a bit differently inside what he's asking us to do. In the Autobiography of a Yogi, when Lahiri Mahashaya finds Babaji in the mountains, and Babaji is waiting for him, and Lahiri doesn't remember, Babaji touches him on the spiritual eye, and suddenly Lahiri remembers his lifetime. This is the cave where I live. This is my blanket. These are my utensils. And so just with the touch of the Guru, the touch of the Guru transformed Lahiri. Of course, Autobiography of a Yogi is a play of avatars that are also playing out a Leela for our benefit, for our education and growth. But, you know, with the touch from Babaji, Lahiri is changed and remembers, and his life is changed from an accountant to, actually, he stayed an accountant, but now suddenly he was teaching Kriya Yoga and in Varanasi. And then remember when Swami Sri Yukteswar touched Master on the spiritual eye and Master went into cosmic consciousness. That touch of the Guru can just change us. And when Swami became a disciple of Yogananda ji, Swami said, just touched him at the heart for like 2 minutes with his finger almost shaking. And Swami said he was changed from then on. And we think of our own experience, perhaps we weren't so drastically changed as these great souls were. And yet, you know, I was thinking also when I came to Ananda for the first time, well, let's say when I read the autobiography for the first time, I loved it. It touched my heart. But I did not know at that time that Yogananda was my guru, like Swami knew. And then the first time I went to Ananda, I loved it. My heart was feeling something I didn't know what it was, but it was not as drastic as the touch of these that we've just been describing. And yet later on, I realized as I continued to go to Ananda, when learned to meditate, and eventually took discipleship and Kriya, I just realized that that touch, that vibration had been there in my heart. I had been being changed from the inside, and yet it was just an inner touch. And I had felt the vibration when I read Autobiography, and I had felt the vibration when I went into the temple of Ananda for the first time, and the gurus were on the altar, and my now Guru Bhais were all around me. I felt that touch. And that touch has been leading me ever since. And I'm so incredibly grateful for that. And Swami has said something that is very interesting. And he said, the grace of our Guru brings to us spiritual growth way out of proportion to the effort that we are making personally, and to the effort in our own meditation. And I have found that to be true for myself, that, you know, suddenly when I started attending Ananda and I started meditating, that my life just so drastically changed. From the moment I took discipleship, I was just on a different track altogether. And it was a big change. And I feel like the Guru was transforming me very, very quickly from the beginning. And Swami's saying that the guidance from our master out of proportion excels our spiritual growth. And I happen to believe that. And I have seen it often with other people that I know also. So I think we have a great boon there. Swami Kriyananda said that in the building of Ananda, that he, or his life as a disciple, he never did anything without the inner sanction of his guru, and that every time he needed to make a decision, he checked with master. Is this a direction I should go in? You know, is this who I should appoint to this position? And he said, always from the inside, about what book I should write. What should I write in the books? How should the song come? He was always turning to the master. And when you understand how much he has done in his life, between the books and the songs and the communities and everything that Swami Kriyananda has done, he said, I haven't done any of it. The master, the divine vibration flowing through me from that touch, from that his discipleship, is what allowed him to do all this. And he said, all of you who tune into the inner guidance of the Guru and become channels of those gurus will do the same thing and more. And so, Jesus said, these things and greater will you do also. So let's, when we're leading our lives, just refer back to the Guru from inside. Is this the right direction? Is this what I should do? What decision should I make here? Always go back to the Guru. How can he guide us and change our lives if we're not opening to his guidance? And then our faith and our intuition in following that guidance will grow over time as we test this decision, that, and we start to understand and feel, that's when he's saying, go ahead. And then, this feeling is when he's saying, maybe not. So we need to just always be open to that inner touch, that vibration in the heart. And the gurus have given us so much, their teachings, the techniques. But really, the techniques, Kriya Yoga, everything that we do is so important. But the most important point is that it opens us, those practices open us to feel the vibration of the master within us, guiding us. Yogananda quoted this often, so did Swami Kriyananda, so do we, that Jesus said, as many as received him, to them gave he the power to become the sons of God. When thy song flows through me, O Lord, when thy song flows through me, his power flowing through us is what transforms us. So when we're getting that inner sanction of God's will, of Guru's will, what should I do now? We overcome our little likes and dislikes. We overcome, what do I want? That's what Swami said. I never asked, what do I want in building of Ananda? I always said, what does God want? What does Master want? And if we just ask ourselves, God, what do you want today? What can I do for you? Master, how can I serve you? Then the ego gets diminished. And as the ego gets diminished, we are transformed from darkness into light, from ignorance into wisdom. And then we become channels of our Guru. And the spiritual legacy of our Guru is his disciples. So we are his children. How we serve, how we flow with his vibration, how we share with others with his love, is how we expand his power on earth, and how we ourselves become the sons of God, become the sons of our gurus. And so, yes, of course, we need a Satguru, and each of us open up to that inner touch, whether we feel it dramatically or whether we feel it over time in a more subtle way. The Guru is transforming us with his vibration if we will be open, if we will have humility, willingness, non-attachment, all the attitudes that they've told us as we should be as disciples. So, Jai Guru, God bless you.
Let me also share a couple of words. And today we, in addition to Guru Purnima, we also celebrate another inspiring story of Guru and disciple. That it was 101 years ago, Mahavatar Babaji visited Yogananda and blessed him. And it was when Yogananda ji was 27 years old at his family house in Kolkata, and he was preparing to leave for America, to leave his family, leave his guru, not expecting ever to return. And Babaji came into Guruji's bedroom, and he said these words to him: "Follow the behest of your Guru and go to America. Fear not, you will be protected. You are the one I have chosen to spread the message of Kriya Yoga in the West. Long ago, I met your Guru, Yukteswar. I told him that I would send you to him for training. Kriya Yoga, the scientific technique of God realization, will ultimately spread in all lands and aid in harmonizing the nations through man's personal, transcendental perception of the infinite Father." Then, with a gaze of majestic power, the Master electrified me by a glimpse of his cosmic consciousness. And that moment, that divine meeting between these gurus and avatars, has energized that spread of Kriya Yoga for the last 100 years, and has inspired all of us to be together today. And feeling the power in those words of Babaji, there's no question that he was definitely the one in charge of this line of gurus. During Yoganandaji's life, he would celebrate the birthdays and Mahasamadhis of Lahiri Mahashaya, of Sri Yukteswar, but not of Babaji. He said that the birth date of Babaji was unknown, and that, of course, there's no Mahasamadhi because Babaji is still alive. As Guruji put it, the living Yogi Christ of modern India was his description of Babaji. And then after Yoganandaji's passing, his disciples tried to organize his work with more energy, and they decided that we really should have a day dedicated to honoring Babaji. And with an educated guess, they felt that the 25th of July could well have been the day that Babaji came to visit Yoganandaji and blessed him in Calcutta on that day. And let us look a bit more at the words of Babaji. He said that Kriya Yoga would aid in harmonizing the nations. And the nations today certainly need that harmonizing, that there are many urgent crises in the world that cannot be resolved, it seems, in any tangible way that we can see, except by a mass transformation of humanity. As Gandhi said, you yourself need to be the change that you wish to see in others. And we can't change everyone else in the world, but we can change ourselves. And in changing ourselves, we influence, we inspire those around us. For example, the COVID virus can be brought under control if only a certain percentage of people change themselves by getting vaccinated. Not everyone needs to do so. It's likewise with the spread of Kriya Yoga, that Kriya changes the world in a similar way, that once enough of us meditate daily, that even a relatively small number, that is enough to change the world consciousness, and that harmony can come to the nations. As Babaji said, through man's personal, transcendental perception of the Infinite Father. And one of the great stories of ancient history was when just 300 Spartan soldiers held back 25,000, an army of 25,000 Persians in a narrow gap, holding them back for 3 days, because the Spartans were used to being disciplined, dedicated, and self-sacrificing, and having a higher ideal, a higher good. They wouldn't give up. They wouldn't accept defeat. Likewise, lasting changes in the world seldom come about by Parliament voting on it, more by a small group of dedicated people and committed to an ideal. You know, looking at the changes that Buddha brought about with just a handful of disciples, or Jesus with just a handful of disciples, Chaitanya filled with devotion, influencing everyone around him. This is the power of the Guru. As it is said, when the disciple is ready, the Guru appears. This is true for the new seeker, but it's also very true for disciples who have been many years on the path. We need to always keep ourselves ready in preparation to receive the Guru. And sometimes we wonder, well, now will the Guru really appear this time? Will he answer my question? And once someone asked Anandamoyi Ma, when somebody prays to you, are you aware of that individual? Are you aware of that prayer? And she says, it's rather like I see around me many small lights. And then one of those lights becomes a large searchlight that's focused on me. And that is that individual who is praying, who is trying to tune in. And likewise with us, that opportunity to reach out is always there. We can become one of those searchlights. And we can attune to the Guru in so many ways, through a photograph, through his writings. We can attune only inwardly. But Swamiji said also, divine grace must be channeled primarily through his disciples. They alone can transmit the Guru's actual spiritual touch. Living power must come through living people. The Guru's true legacy is his true disciples. Every disciple is a unique human being. Each disciple can convey, if he is sincere, at least something of the Guru's vibrations and wisdom. It is like a baton in a race that one disciple passes on to another, the presence, this divine blessing, which is brought down from the Guru, from one generation of disciples to another. It goes on. And likewise in our own lives, we simply need to live our lives, but as Daya was saying, keep tuning in to the will of the Guru. Keep our hearts open to follow his guidance and to share, to serve the Guru by serving those around us, by bringing his light, bringing his love, the love of God, to all those around us. Happy Guru Purnima to you all.